MakingStarWars.net.
I like spaceships.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason the Ward from MakingStarWars.net. And who the heck are you, Rob?
Oh,
Rob?
me?
Yeah, who
Huh?
the heck are you?
Oh, I'm the ghost in the hall.
Goes in the hall.
Yeah, ghost in the hall.
Look up. These are the Daves I know. These are the Daves I know. If you don't know it, if you're just a youngin.
Hey, I know we want to get into like our usual banter of jokes and goodwill, but at the end of the show yesterday, I asked you about the whole Mando season 3 trailer, and I know nobody sticks around to the end of the shows.
Yeah, I've already answered it a bunch of times.
I know. Can we just get this one out the way? Can you just tell them? Tell them?
Yeah,
you flushed it down the toilet and you told your kid it ran away, right? Like,
yeah. We got Donovan asking, we got Rebecca's Creations asking, and basically they just changed their mind. All of the stuff changed. Everything at Disney changed. No, I've had a couple of sources talk about Disney Plus, how they were like tipping me off. They're like, hey, just a heads up, whatever you think you know or you did know about Disney Plus from just a few months ago, it's all different now. Disney Plus is going to be going through some shit, that kind of thing. So Disney Plus is going to be changing their plans and schedules, and so it just is what it is. It didn't happen. Will it be on the Super Bowl instead or something like that? I don't even know when the Super Bowl is. I haven't looked into it. I've been under the weather for the last like 2 weeks almost now, so I'm not even sure what's going on with it. And
or I heard that they buried the trailer in a box in the backyard, but Disney Plus was built on the graves of previous streaming services, and so it imploded and it sucked all of the other content into a void. And
Poltergeist style.
We're waiting for Disney Brandon Biden to come out in the sequel to re-give us the trailer, right?
Yeah, but I'll take the loss on that one. Just I'll just own it as a loss. But I do promise you that when I told you that was accurate at that time, and that's kind of the problem with reporting things a little bit too early. And every now and then I get reminded, don't report things too early because things change, and then you have to like go and then wait for the confirmation to come that you weren't bullshitting, which I always get, but.
Your track record, you and Spreezy's track record on trailers on the show is pretty bad. I'm the only one that seems to know what's going on, and I have no sources.
Right there.
Hey, look at that! Look at that!
Chris.
Look at that! You owe me some shitty food you got to eat, Chris. I'm still waiting.
Chris never ate his
Taco Bell's.
Taco Jack in the Box. Was it Taco Bell?
Yeah, I want him to eat it when he's in the middle of training to really feel the effects of losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a pretty fit guy. I mean, do we have to make him fat like us? Do we have to do that? Fat like me? Do we have to do that to him?
He's one of those guys, dude, that like runs around, but he still gets to be like bulky. You know what I mean? Like he's got muscle. I'm like, you motherfucker. Why don't you be Batman?
We don't really know that Chris Spreezy is running around. He might just be like hitting F5 on Star Wars websites all day. For all we know, I'm just saying we don't really.
He goes to Australian Family Fun Center and just poses in front of a camera and like tennis poses, like in the batting cage and shit. Like, yeah, I believe it.
Okay, so today's show is brought to you by Bespin Bulletin. Not only because I am going to use Bespin Bulletin for today's articles, but because I was sleeping and he was like, "Hey, I wrote an article for the show. Here you go." Because he's the producer of the show. People don't know that, but he's the producer of the show.
I bet he spell checks unlike you, Jason.
Yeah, I don't know. I got spell checks going on. Just all of this shit's fucking made up, so it doesn't count. All you see is a bunch of red lines and shit.
It's real. It's real.
It's real to me.
Jake, show me go.
Damn it. But so anyways, Bespin, I texted him back with one eye open, calling him a white slaver this morning for making me wake up and do the show. So this first article here is an interesting one. I think there's a lot of lessons for us, even for me and Bespin maybe, and for the community because information comes out into these magazines that are like trade magazines. And those trade magazines will oftentimes report on things that are rumors or rumors with legs. I don't know how they editorialize that, where they decide this rumor is valid enough to make it into production weekly, that kind of stuff. But also these names, like this production that we're going to hear about, was in the UK at one time. Dave Filoni. Well, yeah, the Ux. Yeah, but the Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau materials would likely not ever be made in the UK because they're not there. I don't think Favreau has any interest in filming outside of Los Angeles, and they have Los Angeles pretty much set up. I suppose they could always give everything to somebody and let them go away. But one of the things about the way that they do their shows is that they give their stuff away, but they are able to still supervise it. They're still around all the time. So I don't know what to make of this story, but let's look at it from BestmanBulletin.com. New Star Wars series from Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni reportedly in the works. Okay. So in the you could give Bestman a coffee, and you should. In the latest issue of Production Weekly, a project listed as Untitled Star Wars Project has appeared as though the listing has appeared. And though the listing has appeared several times before, with the belief previously being it was a Star Wars movie being developed by either Taika Waititi or Damon Lindelof. That's for you, Rob.
Yep,
Lindelof.
you're welcome. Thank you.
It's now sporting a working title and has listed producers on the project. So that's a pretty big one.
Stars, Jason.
Lost Stars, right?
Lindelof Stars.
There we go. Is that one where me and Lindelof look into each other's eyes? I'm an Imperial and he's a rebel. How will we ever make it work?
Yeah, it's like Star Trek and Star Wars fans.
Want to see what it looks like when our bald heads make out?
Then the thumbs meld.
All right. The Untitled Star Wars Project reportedly has the working title Ghost Track 17. And sports both Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau as producers on the project. Oh, well, see that once again. See that's a big given. I thought we were like, it's Walter Jones and Susan Boyle or whatever.
But Susan Boyle. Susan Boyle. Did we just step into?
was that like the ugly opera singer on?
Jason.
What was she? Was she beautiful? No, she was ugly.
Jason. Jason, that's not. You can't. Yes, she was beautiful. Come on.
You want to know the only thing uglier than Susan Boyle is the American Idol concept itself of treating music like sports.
Compared to you and me, she's Christy fucking Brinkley, dude.
Did you ever see that Bobcat movie where that guy's dying of cancer, and then he decides he's gonna go and he's gonna get the guys who are making fun of the Asian guy who can't sing, who does We Are the Champions?
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah. But what was the movie called? The Bobcat movie.
Not remember, but I have seen it. Yes.
Oh, it's one of those movies that today, with when you have just like dumb white guys doing dumb white guy stuff, violent dumb white guy stuff all the time now, it's not as funny as it was then. Right. But if you can divorce yourself from our crappy history, it was a great watch. The Untitled Star Wars Project reportedly has working title Ghost Track 17. So Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl. Someday I'm going to make her mine. The Beatles song. In sports, both Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's producers, not everything in Production Weekly should be taken as accurate. And we've seen this before. It can be a very good tip-off. So it has value, but it's not confirmation. And Bestman goes on to say, as sometimes they share internet rumors, and he spells rumors with the U, with the O and a U, because he's fancy lad. It's a fancy little lad in their listings, which this may well be. Just a couple of days ago, Daniel RPK shared on his Patreon that a new series set in the Mandoverse from Filoni and Favreau is in development, and he used the same working title in his post. Often, working titles are related to the project itself. For example, Skeleton Crew was codenamed Grammar Rodeo, a reference to The Simpsons. And everything on that show is Simpsons coded. Specifically, the episode Bart Simpson and Friends had out on a unsupervised adventure after telling their parents that they were going on a field trip to the National Grammar Rodeo. Skeleton Crew itself focuses on a group of kids lost in the galaxy trying to find their way back home. The Ahsoka series was codenamed Storm Crow, a reference to Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Ooh, and I got something good about that this week if I feel like fucking taking the abuse from the internet.
Lord of the Rings?
No, something else. A figure in which Ahsoka Tano has been compared to in the past, and a character Dave Filoni has seemingly been inspired by. So, with that in mind, what can we learn from the title Ghost Track 17? Typically, a ghost track refers to a song hidden on an album. So, like if you like Nirvana, Endless Nameless, it's pretty good. Meaning a song would have been left off the record's track list and was left as a surprise to the listener.
Also, if you like Stone Temple Pilots, 12 precious melodies worth listening. Hope you enjoy them.
It was tacky. By the time they did it, it was tacky. By the time they did it, it was tacky.
Singing in harmony.
Thanks, Nick.
I know that song. I'm a loser.
Yeah, the Nirvana one, the first edition of Nevermind didn't have it, but the second edition did. And so I had my Endless Nameless from the CD single Come As You Are. But on the second pressing of Nevermind, it was kind of cool because the last song, Something in the Way, the one from the Batman movie, if you don't know your Nirvana kids, you would listen to Something in the Way, the record would end, and then you'd just be sitting there thinking that everything's done. And then like 17 minutes later, you know, and you're like, oh shit, there's what is this? And it was sort of like before things could go viral on the internet, everyone would go around school. Hey, did you know that there's a fucking secret song? Did you know that? Did you know that? So, anyways, Abbey Road has one. So Abbey Road publicly sported 16 tracks, but there was a hidden 17th track, Her Majesty. And it's because it's such a short song. It's like probably 30 seconds, maybe. I wonder if the working title of the Star Wars project, Ghost Track 17, is a direct reference to Her Majesty, Abbey Road, or the Beatles in general. Well, the song Her Majesty is a pretty nice girl, and someday I'm going to make her mine. And she also has, like, you know, she's multi-dimensional is kind of what the song says. So it does sound like it's about loving, you know, a princess, so to speak. So maybe this is our love story, Star Wars movie or show.
The courtship of Princess Leia?
No.
Huh?
No, they got married on a $10,000 Disney cruise now. Fucking losers.
What if they do? What if they do get married on the Disney cruise? They go on that Galaxies. They just film it there.
It was Bob Chapek's last thing is, I'm gonna make this shit sell if it's the last thing I do. Anyways, so
it's the Star Wars version of those. Remember on TGIF back in the day when all the Disney shows would go to Disneyland, like Urkel and Step by Step, and they'd all have to like coordinate.
It was Disney World. It would be Disney World.
Disney World, yeah, they go Disney World.
Yeah, and Urkel's there exposing himself.
What?
By the way, where is Urkel? Remember that? Remember there was that Urkel rumor?
He's in this show.
Fuck that. All of that. Do you think maybe it's about Urkel loving?
Yes.
Are they remaking Family Matters?
I don't even need you to finish that sentence. Yes.
Yes. Anyways,
he's the son of the cook from the Christmas special.
Right.
The spiderweb nanny chick.
And he will also become Finn's dad. Anyway, let's not get carried away until there's more to back up the story. It's also possible Ghost Track 17 is a codename for a series that we already know of as The Mandalorian. Changed its working title for the third season from Huckleberry. So, wait. Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so I'm not completely sold on this story. I've had people going, do you know about the new Star Wars show? Are you aware of the new Star Wars show? And this code's been around, but also sometimes weird shit happens. Like, for instance, the Acolyte had a production office with Acolyte's code out here in Southern California. Because at some point, that's where they were just like, I guess, probably putting it together. That's where the production office just was before it moved into Pinewood or whatever, Shinfield. And
they got all those tax credits.
Yeah. Well, what's that other thing he always says? Shinfield. What's that last part? He always says Sherwood Forest. No, that's where Azatru's at. No, Azatru's in Nottingham. He fled to Sherwood Forest to evade taxes on YouTube videos, where he got a group of merry men, and now he fights the sheriff of Nottingham. But
merry minches.
Star Wars Santa says, "Do we have to drink every time Bestman writes titular?" You can if you want to, but he just knows that it's going to make me say tit. That's why he says it every time. That's why he writes it. He's admitted it. He's admitted this to me. I'm going to say a good 5% of every Bestman Bulletin article is trolling this show. So, yeah.
Also, when I speak, but I prefer titular, like potatoes, like tater tots. The
titular.
I'm a tot guy. I'm a tot. Tits or tots? I gotta go with tots. Sorry.
Yeah.
Love tits, but gotta go with tots.
Whoa.
Fat kid.
Groomer.
I'm a fat kid.
So like a groomer, like tots. I'm kidding.
That's not what I. God damn.
That's what somebody on the internet would say, though. That's what somebody on the internet would say. That's what they would say.
I feel like I just walked into a Michael Scott, little kid lover. No, that's not what that means. Like, I was thinking tater tots. You fucking, god damn it! All right. Just can't win.
So
never mind. I'm a tits guy. These fucking dudes, eat my tots.
What was it? Was it Michael Scott's tots or something? What was the joke on that?
It's the one. Yeah, it's not. It's real. No. Yeah, the one where people go, you can't watch it's cringeworthy. It was cringeworthy when it came out, folks. That's the whole point, where he decided
are you telling me that all of the humor in The Office is predicated upon it being cringy? Yeah, yes. It is. And even that stuff that all of you fucking idiots think is adorable was supposed to be cringy, but now you're just so cringy you think it's cute.
Sure, it wasn't too long ago when they all thought Black Widow being in love with the Hulk was cringy, Remember when that was a big fucking deal? I still don't understand what the gripe was about that, but
because it says that Black Widow's a size queen and they can't compete, right?
I don't know, man. Because when it was implied he was fucking Valkyrie and Ragnarok, everyone was like, "Yep." I don't know, man. It's just I don't know.
Yeah,
I just the internet.
I just don't know how you go around superhero and after you've taken Hulk cock. I just don't see how you walk.
Well, Jason, you got to do those breathing exercises. You got to breathe through the diaphragm. Through the diaphragm, not the chest, the diaphragm.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go. I'm ready to take that whole cock. All right.
Yeah, okay. Join the club.
Did you ever play No Man's Sky?
I did. I bought it at launch.
Yeah. I like to take away all of the spaces and make it called Nomensky. But all right, so
what the fuck is that?
I do. I don't know why. I've always done that. I'm playing No Man's
Sky. COVID's really fucking up your brain there, buddy. You just
this is before COVID. This is
like I like the joke. I'm like, where'd that come from? But all right.
Nomensky.
I like it.
Ubisoft Star Wars game reportedly comparable to Nomensky by Bestman Bulletin. So you can give him a coffee if you want to. You can throw it in his face too, but you got to buy it to throw it in his face. It's been 2 years since Ubisoft and Lucasfilm announced that Massive Entertainment, the studio behind Ubisoft's The Division franchise, has started working on an untitled open-world Star Wars project, and word of the game has been quiet ever since. However, a new rumor with the O and a U regarding the name has arose today. According to the outlet Insider Gaming, which I think Insider Gaming isn't bad at all, right? It's that they're like for video games, they're pretty reputable, correct? Are you familiar? I think
no fucking clue, bro.
I'm gonna guess I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm not trying to put it on him, but I think if Bestman is covering it, he knows games. So I'm gonna guess
I'm gonna be honest, man. When it comes to game rumors, it just after having worked on a few games, it's tough when that stuff hits. Like from behind the scenes, because as much as we all like rumors and stuff, they hate it. It can cause projects can get canceled sometimes.
Yeah.
Like trailers, they can just flush them down the toilet.
They're like, this game is about Star Wars tots. Oh, a game's for groomers. Cancel it. According to Insider Gaming, the upcoming title project from Ubisoft's Massive will be a fully open and seamless universe akin to No Man's Sky. If you're unfamiliar with the title mentioned, No Man's Sky, the defining feature of the game is that nearly every part of the galaxy, including stars, planets, creatures, etc., are created through procedural generation using deterministic algorithms and random number generators, which results in there being over 18 quadrillion planets to explore within the game.
Okay, hold on. That's what it was sold as. The reality is you see one planet, you've seen them all. The defining selling point of that game now is that those developers stuck with it for 6 or 7 years with consistent quality of life updates for free. You know what I mean? That have transformed it into something that no major company would ever do that. So,
well, you know what they said about it, right, Rob? That you couldn't get to the core. So you know what I immediately did, right? I got to the core.
Yeah, I know it. Everyone. So the game that is out today is far superior. I mean, it's totally different product than what. My problem with this idea with a major studio, you're gonna get to it, but if a major studio is working on this sort of thing, like they would never stick with something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, they can't even stick with just one Battlefront. You got to get two in like 2 years. So.
But if you consider it, if you were to come up with a bunch of, if you were to take the Star Wars motifs of design and architecture, there's a lot of things that are on every planet, moisture evaporators, certain little things that are Star Warsy, and then you take certain like design elements and you add those into the thing. I could see them not doing something as vast as No Man's Sky actually is. Like I don't agree with you when you say you go to one planet, you've been to them all, because that's not necessarily the case. But I do know what you mean in the big picture. Like you go to
what I think you can agree with the launch product was something that I had never experienced before. No, hold on. What I had never experienced before was there's this game loop in the initial product of mining and collecting things and scanning shit to kind of like build resources to fly to another planet, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is amazing. There is a point. Sometimes it happens in an hour, sometimes it happens in 4 hours, whatever. But there is a point for everyone where you go, oh, that's all there is. Like, that's the game. That the loop is so shallow. So, like, I'm just saying, with something like Star Wars, man, these Star Wars gamers, they like their story. So they're gonna have to really work some story into, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when there's like, you know, procedurally generated Jedi temples and caves to go into and wampas and stuff. Like if you just take a lot of the general motifs that are in Star Wars, that you know, rancors and crate dragons and just weird stuff like that, and if they're able to make it where you could play, you know, if you play for 6 hours, you will have an amazing weird occurrence of some kind. If they can do it, I don't know if they can. I don't know if I believe that.
I'm not saying don't do this. I'm saying that they're going to have to be prepared. It's just not as simple as procedurally generate button, you know, and like you got a whole Star Wars world because, you know, the content's figured out. Like,
right.
I stand to say people will be even 10 times more critical because it's Star Wars, if it doesn't have proper feel to, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. I mean, the thing about No Man's Sky itself is, I mean, there was a little bit too much, like a little bit of like just like the base thing. There was like, it didn't need to, there was so much you can do, but also so little you can do at the same time. So you could actually like just make it where there's just so much you can do that there's nothing to do. And so if they could fix that. And also the other thing is though that No Man's Sky also added VR, and it's really, really chill and fun in VR. It's really cool to go to like a new place, look at what the creatures are, and just mining, like, you know, and when you have interesting caves to go in and stuff like that, it's really fun. So I could see this. I could see this kind of thing working if they were to take the best of Star Wars Galaxy. Remember Star Wars Galaxies? The MMO. Yeah, no, it was a failure as an MMO in total, but as an open world social experience, it was one of the best that MMO.
I know people feel that way, but it was tough. It was like collect 6 Wampa rats to get out of a cage, and I'm like, oh, this isn't Star Wars to me.
But you're talking about MMO style quest. I'm talking about the fact that you're able to go create a player run town on Naboo with the cantina, and there's people that go there every day and they're like doing their quest, but then there's that social interaction as Star Wars
I hate
characters, and you're able to
social
you're weird though. You're weird.
No, I'm not.
You are weird.
Well, I am weird, but you know, like that. Hold on. No, I agree with you. I'm weird.
No, but what I'm saying is that like if they were to take that kind of, like if you take No Man's Sky, you set it in the Star Wars universe, but also remember that the Star Wars universe like has the defined planets too. So if they do in some way, or if they do, put some of those defined planets into the game, and you're able to like explore, and I would love if they added that VR element. That'd be fantastic if they did.
I'm
if
not
if I
saying I
could do
don't
that.
want that. I'm just saying that we've
Oh
all
yeah, yeah.
seen what happens when you take Star Wars and just shove it into a pre-existing format. It doesn't
Well,
solve all your problems, you know. Like
I
we've done.
yeah, you're completely right. Like you bring up
Bombad Racing is just Mario Kart with Star Wars. If I described you, look,
right.
imagine these tracks, you could race around, and you could have your friends, and you could all get in there in 4-player call, and you'd be like, oh, that'd be amazing. And then you see the game, you're like, oh no, it's not.
No, I think the most valid point you made today is that observation that it took 6-7 years for that game to become like a 9, to like live up to its potential. Can a licensee? I just made a weird noise with my mouth. Can a licensee actually like see it through? Can it not release early? Can it just not get shelved? I mean, I would
no.
I would almost I would almost just anticipate it just getting shelved based off of the past. But so anyways,
this is something that this is a reason this type of game for me makes the case why LucasArts should be making
LucasArts should return.
This is because this is something that that's a company that you could be, look, we can monetize this over 10 years. You know what I mean? We can stick with it because we don't have to pay a licensing fee. We already own this shit.
Right.
But the licensing fees, I don't know if people understand. Like they have guaranteed returns every year or every quarter or year or whatever, however it works out on that license, whether you did money or not. And so if you're like, hey, 40% of this income is going towards, just paying to keep it up, when we could, as a studio, could just make No Man's Mall. It's No Man's Mall, right? We're just going to be an unlimited procedurally generated mall that goes, fuck, now I want that game.
Yeah.
Fuck, Rob, fuck. But you know what I mean? Like, then they could just do, why bother? So that's because the auditing that goes on too, man. It's a fucking nightmare when, I'm not saying Lucasfilm, but I'm saying I've seen what happens when licensors are like, we think you made more on this than you're paying up.
But we also have examples of it actually working and continuing for a decade with the Old Republic.
That's
where BioWare
right?
and so like there's
it's still on, right?
It's still going. That cell phone game, that's really kind of sounds grifty to me, honestly. But that cell phone game where that's still making the most money.
I don't play cell phone.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, though, that game has been going for a long time. We live in a world where Tiny Death Star can't survive, but that game can because it makes a lot of money. But so I don't know, man. I mean, like I'm optimistic, but so
I like the idea.
Espen answers my question right here. Sorry, go on, Rob.
I love the idea. I just, you know what I mean? I just don't like disappointments. You know what I mean? Like you say that No Man's Sky, but you got to stick with it. You can't just expect people to show up for that and be like, that's the thing,
Yeah.
Like,
he says, personally, I'm not familiar with Insider Gaming's track record, not to be confused with Inside Gaming. See, that's what I was confused. Kind of like how Den of Nerds does the Den of Geek thing and, tries to be confusing.
Making Star Wars Newsnet is not making Star Wars News.
Yeah, right. And the only time I've truly given attention to the site is when freelancer Tom Henderson writes an exclusive for the outlet, as Henderson has a reliable track record. However, this Ubisoft Star Wars article wasn't written by Henderson, so I take this purely as a rumor. If true, then Ubisoft's game sounds incredibly interesting and exciting, and I'm sure the comparison to No Man's Sky will pique people's interest. And then it says, this rumor follows a tweet from Julian Gereitli, a creative director at Ubisoft, who shared a tweet wishing followers a happy new year and claimed that 2023 would be massive for massive entertainment. The pun was intended. Oh my God. And shared an image of the Star Wars logo. Many fans have taken this to mean that the project will release this year, which is highly unlikely. Massive Entertainment are currently still working on Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which was delayed from a late 2022 release to sometime this year. Personally, I believe the tweet references it is the game officially being unveiled at some point this year. And the only word
You know what I also fear with this project? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I fear they're gonna be like, now to the power of AI, we can generate all these Star Wars assets. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Well, yeah.
look, the procedural generation was also a form factor of the studio. The studio that built that game, they're like a small crew of like at the time like 4 or 6 people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so like when a major studio is doing it, I don't know, man. I'm like, okay, so how many people are on this? I mean, you go with Star Wars, you go with if we have 100 or 50, that's great because now they can model all the stuff that's in Star Wars, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm also like, but suits aren't excited about the potential. They're always looking at ROI, right? Like,
What's ROI?
return on investment.
Thank you.
You know, they want to spend the least amount of money with the most amount of return, Jason. Like
Right.
that's it. So that's how you get a Kenobi.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm excited, but I'm also cautious. You know,
Right.
cautious.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think we're gonna go back into an era of there being paid for skins and things that you can buy with real money. And what kind of
Things I'm fine
happened?
with.
Well, it sort of worked itself out a little bit with Fortnite right now. Like the laws about what you can do and what you can't do are really being ironed out a bit. So I would not be surprised if they feel a little bit more comfortable with how to go about selling skins and how they go about selling, things that cosmetics and things that you could use in game. And if this game might be competitive, but it might not be. And if it's not competitive, that also opens up a lot of opportunities for cosmetics. If it's purely a social game,
It should
and
be a
with
social,
light
unless it's
adventure,
like yeah.
yeah,
Because when they turn into like if they turn into like capture the flag territory, like you got to capture this territory, and it's like that gets old. I think signing up with your friends to go on like if you got a bunch of Imperials and you want to go on raids against rebels and shit, you know what I mean? Like make that more quest driven than I don't
right,
know. It just turns
yeah.
into like no man's battle royale, you know, which
Right. And well, and that's like the other thing is like there's so many opportunities for that kind of stuff. Like if you're able to find a world and claim it and make it yours and set the rules on there, if you're able to bring in some of the Minecraft and Fortnite's creative modes, where you're able to sort of like set what can go on in those places. You know what I mean? Like that'd be great. Like it would be really rad if I go to Rob's world and it is a battle royale world where there's a big arena that you've made on it and you can go there and you could fight and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of dumb things you can do into something like that. Farming simulators, all in Star Wars. You know what I mean? And ways of making a formal player run economy, which is
so they
hard,
think
but
Massive's in charge of this. Massive, what did they
Mhm.
last? What was their last big deal? They're like JRPG-ish people, right? Like the
Aren't they? Are they the guys that he just said are doing that Avatar game? That's supposed to be like
Avatar game. Thank
that
you.
really
Yeah,
amazing Avatar game. Yeah,
right.
and I saw a story. I don't know if it was true, but I just saw it like kind of like in passing. I'm like that lady from Knives Out who saw a headline of a
You,
New Yorker article, but saying that that was going to have in-game purchases in it now.
yeah, of course. Like so, it's when they're making you purchase like the other parts of the game. Like it's all fine when it's cosmetic skins and shit, but when it's like,
Oh,
no, we're just gonna take the game you normally get, but we're gonna piecemeal it out. You know, like that's a
right.
problem. But yeah, we had talked about Massive. You were saying a year ago, or yeah, I think a year ago that that
Mm-hmm.
that that Ubisoft game was because of the Avatar like engine. So you wonder if they're using that engine to build the Avatar engine to build procedurally generated, or if it's already doing a form of procedurally generated content for Pandora, given the
Right.
scale of Avatar, right? Like how big that planet is. I mean, if I mean, when you watch the movie, you know, look how big that fucking moon is, and we've only gone to like 2 places, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like maybe that engine's already using a form of procedural generation, so they're not building everything from scratch. And then they're like, hey, now, okay, I'm doing the math. This makes a lot more technical sense, Jason, on the ROI. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, and
yeah,
like No Man's Sky, like it'd be like, look at this crazy alien. It's like it's like a donkey with the shark for a head or something weird. Kind of like it was a sort of like kind of stuff was sort of out there, but also
you
would
punch
see, like,
it. You got a donkey punch it. What?
But it's like Jaws when he blows up for no reason on that one. But yeah,
yeah. Why did he in Jaws 3? Why did he blow up?
Why did he blow up? I still don't know. But but when it comes to like those like little tiny like Star Wars design motifs and stuff that you could like throw in, like I'm kind of excited about that potential, that possibility of showing up and seeing like, you know, a Naboo style civilization and just weird nomads that have like little Tusken Raider things here, but you know, they're different. And if whatever they have is dynamic enough, but it does sound like in today's world, we do live in a world where that stuff is dynamic enough, right? Like it's possible.
Given that they're already making a game at the scale of Red Dead Redemption 2, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, they know what they're doing. I would also say there's no fucking way this game comes out this year.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
I mean, they might announce it this year. You know what I mean? But there's no way. They're wrapping up, you know, a game. It just doesn't, you know. And I've worked on projects where they're working on multiple, you know, behind the scenes. At some point, when you're at the finishing phase, everyone stops developing new content and they go and help the rest of the people out to complete a project. That every time, and that's regardless of studio. It's just there comes a point where you're like, we have 15 available bodies and they're designing skins for a game that isn't even made yet, and we need all hands on deck for this shit that's shipping. You know?
When you consider a Star Wars No Man's Sky, I always thought if they did it, they would have to incorporate stuff you know from Star Wars, worlds that you know from Star Wars. So if you ask me, what you would have to do is you would have to probably start by making the core with Coruscant, Naboo, Tatooine, you know, Arvala 7, the stuff that we kind of see in you're all the way to the Rim, that we see, you know, in the general Star Wars pop culture. And then once you jump off from there, that's when
I wonder
stuff starts and it starts to get weird, right? That's kind of
if they only have to build like one map worth of shit, and then like we build a Coruscant map that, let's say that map is something that would fit a 64 by 64, you know, player map, right? So it's a pretty big map, but it's buildable, you know. Or is it like a 32? They build a smaller map that the algorithm can extrapolate that out to, you know, an nth number degree, right? A planet-sized map.
Yeah.
And then within that, I mean, God, this is so fucking hard to do. Like, people don't understand. like you just don't type into AI, give me Nomad Planet Star Wars. It's so fucking difficult. I gotta tell you.
Well, here's what you do: is you type, make Star Wars planets, make it not stupid, make it cool, and then you hit enter.
Yeah. Look, even Favreau can't do that with Boba Fett, or even he, like, somehow, you know.
Did I tell you I gave Boba a rewatch?
I stand by episodes 2, 4, well, 5 and 6, the Luke and the whatever Minch episodes, and the visual effects overall, except for the end. Overall, the visual effects are good. The quality of them, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
who cares? Who cares?
It's John Ford wouldn't like those exterior shots. That's what we could all agree on.
Harrison Ford wouldn't like those exterior shots, Jason, isn't it?
Harrison Ford, John Ford, Henry Ford.
Nah. Hey, did you ever, with the holiday special, like, did you realize that the guy who directed that's the dude who directed the Elvis comeback special? So like in the Elvis movie, when they're trying to pitch that they have a guy playing the director.
Yeah.
They're trying to pitch him as a holiday thing. He goes, yeah, we don't do holiday specials. I'm like, oh, that's a fucking Star Wars holiday special joke. Like in Elvis. Right? Yeah, no, it really is. Clever. There's a Star Wars holiday special joke in Elvis, folks. If you know where to look for it. You know, like that thing at the end of the movie that's hidden.
Elvis?
It's a hidden.
Fuck Elvis. Irrelevant. That's my hot
No, I don't. I give two shits less, but I heard that it was in there, so I had to go look it up. And
try to stop the Beatles. No. Also, he got a badge. He was a Nixon guy, and he had a badge. He was like a drug czar.
Steven Seagal.
And he's this fucking Steven Seagal of rock music. And
I'm just telling you,
on this show, we are JCVD all the way.
No, Steven Seagal needs to play Fat Elvis now. Like that. Just call the movie Fat Elvis.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Fat Elvis with Steven Seagal.
Yeah. And he's got a badge, you know?
Oh,
like,
and at the end, he has to fake his death.
And he goes to Ukraine and stops the Nazis, right?
He's not dead. Yeah. He's not dead, though. He faked his death at the end. Yeah. It's a trilogy. It's going to be a trilogy.
Yeah, it's a trilogy. He's going to eat those peanut butter banana sandwiches for real, though. He's going to really do all the training.
We were watching something and Kelly LeBrock was in it, and I could tell my son was like, "Oh, Kelly LeBrock," you know. And I was like, I had to break the news to him, like, "Dude, that was Steven Seagal's wife. Like, she wanted to marry Steven Seagal." We were like, "Man,
yeah, but you know, well,
why?
You know, batshit crazy sex. You know, that's something you can't have a conversation with him now. But when he's 20-something. When he's 20-something, you revisit it. You know,
I don't think Steven Seagal really brings anything to the sex.
No,
to be honest with you,
she probably thought it was crazy.
Yeah, you know I'm thinking he goes. Yeah. He goes like, right, Seagal's gonna go do karate now in the front yard. You know,
like you remember that look she gives Robert Downey Jr. when she realized they're just trying to give her big tits and weird science, right? And she's like, you know, like she had that same look with Steven Seagal.
But he did put his bra on his head, so he did the work. Is all I'm saying.
He also did Johnny Be Good like a year later. That's not saying actually.
I like Johnny Be Good. That was with
my friend's sisters right? in that movie.
And
you know that?
What? Oh yeah.
Yeah. She was a waitress. There was a scene where they're at a diner or something. Waitress. She didn't have a speaking role initially, but Robert Downey Jr. like talked to her in the scene, so she'd reply like ad lib. And so she got credits and residuals. You know, she gets like a $5 paycheck every now and then. You know?
It blew my mind when Anthony Michael Hall hit like Edward Scissorhands. It became like bully Anthony Michael Hall. I was like, what is going on in the world? What is this? Why?
Yeah, that's the one I believe though, because that nerd kid sometimes could turn on. I felt Jason. I mean, if were I any good at sports, I could have easily been a bully. I could just see, you know, like given how my family genetics are, you know. But luckily, I can't do any of that stuff. So
I see bullying Robert Sinclair in the chat all the time. So I don't know, man.
Man, I give that guy fame. What are you talking about? Like, no one would fucking know who he is if it weren't for me.
Damn, Robert Sinclair just got fucking...
that whiny little bitch on a map, dude. You know, like, what? Okay, how about whiny bitch Sinclair? Since you don't want me to fucking,
I like
complain.
That. Robert Sinclair just like, you know, I think I'm gonna do some.
I am a bully.
On a podcast, and then he just starts hearing his name brought up randomly by these two guys.
Well, first off, it's just let me tell you why his name sticks out to me, because he sounds like that guy you'd seen the opening credits to like Love Boat or Remington Steele in the 80s, you know, and Robert Sinclair. And you're like, that's a name I should know.
Right.
And then you look at him, you're like, no, I don't even know. You know?
Robert Sinclair.
Robert Sinclair, the guy who complains about being mentioned on the show.
Robert Sinclair is now the mayor of the show. That's what I've decided.
Oh, like Josh, he's gonna not be able to keep this monster under control.
Look, he's here. Rob, I'm just so tired. Oh man, Robert Sinclair is going for you. He's going for you. All right, but anyways,
I turned the chats off. I can't see what they're saying.
I do have to go because
short show.
Well, my son's gonna go to his mom's. My daughter's gonna stay with me tonight, so we're gonna order pizza or something and do all that stuff.
Nice.
I gotta get my son ready. This wasn't expected. This wasn't the plan. But because Mrs. is mommy today, so
it's like Disney Plus. They just changed plans mid show, right. See,
but I love you, Robert Sinclair. I don't care what Rob says. I love
this you. This is an act. I
love you. I love you madly. I want to get an apartment with you. No, anyways, me and Rob will be. But today's Thursday, right?
I'll love him more if it was Robert E. Claire. You know what I mean? Like you just master of all donuts, cream filled.
And Chris, I'm sorry you couldn't join us today. I had to do a short show, so but Chris, you're always welcome. And when you're back in town, jump on, dude. And we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, talking about Star Wars and all that stuff.
No,
what? I said Star Wars.
The ghost of B. Arthur is getting very mad at you, Jason.
Fucking, what's her name though? Fucking Blanche. She was up for it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Say bye, Rob.
Bye, Rob.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.